Strip. Happy Wednesday. Thanks so much for tuning in again for Wellness Wednesday. Aubrey and I are here just to bring you some brief updates about things that you can keep in mind over the next couple weeks and months. Aubrey, let's start out with our reminder about our 3 Ps and our Well Power Incentive Program, which is still going on. So we've changed some of the and modified some of the requirements there based on all of the changes we've seen around COVID. And so the reminder is you, instead of 100 points, you now accumulate, if you accumulate 50 points by September 30th, you get a discount on your insurance premiums for 2021. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And and we talked last week, and I think I kind of threw everybody off guard, but I went and looked it up just to make sure after our taping last week, which by the way didn't make it. Oh, well, then they missed all of it. Never mind. Right. So the new information is that if you do the 3 Ps that we've been talking to you about, so if you fill out your personal health assessment, if you have your primary care visit, just your yearly checkup with a primary care physician, and you have 1 preventive screening, that is 50 points. So really the 3 Ps will get you the discount on the insurance premium for 2021 and also keep you healthy in the process.
Yes, and as a reminder, this year's wellness program ends the end of September. So we are already in the middle of July. It is hard to believe that the year is flying by, even in the midst of all the challenges and changes that we have seen. But just encourage you to really take advantage of that program. We want as many people to complete it as we can. And you just have under 2 months left to do that, or a little over 2 months, I guess, left to do that.
Yeah, so good thoughts for people to keep in mind. Kind of write it down in your calendar, because September 30th will be here before you know it. It's hard to believe that we're halfway through July now. So those are things to keep in mind as far as thinking ahead for insurance premiums for next year and taking charge of wellness. Then we again mentioned last week, which didn't make it, about the 100-mile challenge. Tell us a little bit about that, Aubrey, and when it started, the requirements, et cetera, et cetera.
So the 100-mile challenge started, I believe, the beginning of July. It also runs through close to the end of September. The goal is to get 100 miles in over that time period. So it's, I believe, just a little over a mile a day if you calculate it out. So anybody can do that. It's pretty simple. We encourage you to participate in that as well. You can also get incentive points to participate in the 100-mile challenge. So as Stephanie was talking about some of the requirements, that is one thing that you can add into that to get points, so you can give and take on that. That usually leads us up into the training for the 10-miler or the 4-mile walk, but this year they have canceled that event, which I'm pretty sad about. I've done it now for 3 years, and it's not going to happen this year. So we just encourage you to still find ways to get those 100 miles in, and just be preparing for the next race that comes up.
Yeah, this year is really the year all about improvising and agility. And so I've had a lot of people joke that they've put on their COVID-19, but these are still ways for us to be creative and to get out. Occasionally you and I will get together and just walk down to the hospital and back. If it's not too hot outside and we have a meeting, sometimes we'll walk and meet. So there are always different ways that you can get your steps in. I know a lot of our bedside caregivers, they are on their feet all the time. And so if they're tracking steps, that will certainly help them to get their steps in. But if you happen to sit behind a desk all day, which Aubrey and I do quite often, hey, get up, take 10 minutes just to walk around the block, to take your dog for a walk if you're working remote, to if you're here, if you're on site at one of the Centra facilities, to walk around the building, just to get up and get your body moving is such a good, it clears your mind, such a good mental break for the day as well as a physical break. So just some ideas. What else do we need to keep in mind, Aubrey, before we sign off this week?
The only other reminder that I wanted, well, it's not a reminder, actually, this is new information, I suppose. We have a internal WellPower page on Centra People. So that's not new information, but we're making quite a few updates to that. We have been over this whole course of 2020. I encourage you to check that out. I'm getting ready to post some new information on that site. Nothing major or massive, but always a great place to connect on anything wellness related from a Centra standpoint. So I encourage you to check out our internal Centra WellPower page on Centra People, just to review the new information that's posted there and make sure that you're up to date on all things happening for wellness.
Awesome. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our update for this week. Centra, thank you so much for joining us once again. In the meantime, we hope that you will do well, that you will think well, and you will be well. See you next week.